Hey, what's going on? JD here, and this is the Daily JD. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, share this video, let people know that you're here, join in the conversation. Because that's what I love about these live streams, the fact that we can sit down, have a conversation. Of course, all my links for all my socials are in the comments there. You can find me at Pain Inc. On Twitter. I tweet out before I go live every day. Just helps, sort of get those notifications out because the YouTube notification system isn't always the most reliable. You can also find me on other platforms like Instagram at Pain Inc. as well as Twitch TV at Pain Inc. So I am back. Hey, good to see you, Andy. It is good to be back. Hey, good to see you, Woodrow. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys getting back in on the stream. So this is the first daily JD since my return. I'm not sure if I will be going every day this week or not. That is the plan, but it's a bit of a busy transformation coming back. I've got a lot of stuff to do. It's just been really busy. The trip was fantastic, and like I said, I came back and it was like right back to work, almost immediately photographing concerts and, doing what I do on a typical basis. So, which one says, even got a new mattress commercial before the video started. Nice. Welcome back. You might see a little bit more of that. I mean, obviously, for those of you who have been fans of the channel for a long time, well before me leaving for Singapore, and definitely well before me making the mall video, which went essentially viral. It's sort of back to routine now. It was kind of a weird thing because I went out there. It was sort of a lark. I knew the mall existed. What happened was essentially that someone who had worked on the project indicated that it was open, and I didn't even know because I've driven past it numerous times, and the parking lot was completely empty. And he said it was open, so I just decided to rush out there and make a video. I had the YYC Music Awards. I had a bunch of gear that I had to pack up to transport to Singapore. It was a crazy time. And I just happened to make the video, and it did well at the first part, better than most my vlogs that I do in the Calgary area, and it was getting a lot more views than normal. And then that was kind of it. It was getting, maybe a couple hundred views a day, and, up to 100. And I was pretty excited about that because most of the vlogs and most of the videos only getting 100 views. It was, kind of, exciting for me in that sense. And then when I was in Singapore, it just kind of blew up, and we were watching it. Some of the guys that I were traveling with, we just couldn't believe, sort of what was going on. I tried to stay on top of things, comment-wise, responding to all the comments, which I like to do typically with my videos, is respond to everybody, at least give it a thumbs up and like it. And it just kind of kept on going. There's thousands of comments on there, and eventually it just got to the point where I couldn't keep up, especially with my limited internet access out in Singapore and Malaysia, and not having the computer to able to hook up all the time and working off my phone. So it was kind of a crazy time, but it's kind of surreal. It's the first time, honestly, I've ever had anything like that. I mean, I had success over on VidMe with videos that did really well over there, but I've never had this kind of success on YouTube. So it's very interesting for me in those regards. And I mean, it's been an interesting ride, and it's still not over yet. It's going to be interesting to see how it sort of plays out and how things going on. I feel it's kind of back to normal for me as a YouTuber, that I put out another vlog. My day one of Singapore went out on on Saturday. I believe I put it out. I put it out a bit early. I just wanted to kind of get things going because I hadn't put content out for a while, and I had not been doing the daily, and, you know, just sort of put it out there, and, you know, it's sort of back to normal numbers for me. And it'll be interesting to see in these live streams as well, if there is anybody that is tuning in that is, you know, essentially a new subscriber, has not been part of these streams. You know, this is something that I like to do. It is a daily project. It is something I started months ago, essentially to get myself to the point where I could get monetized. And it was just a means to get content out and have a conversation with a lot of the creators that are in here. I see Nick's in here as well. Samurai Fingers, thanks for joining me, Nick, and good to see you, Mr. Fox. Thanks for joining us. As always, by all means, feel free to interject, ask any questions, you know, anything that you guys want to talk about, by all means, throw them in the comments. You know, again, I am just like super appreciative. I did a couple on the phone and mentioned this. I'm just super appreciative of all the support that all you guys have shown for such a long time. Nick says, was totally not expecting a live today, but I got a notification on my phone, so here I am. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that the notification system is in fact working a little bit, and that, you know, people are getting the notifications. So that is super awesome to hear. You know, I'm still not sure actually what my plan is sort of going forward. You know, whether I want to sort of cut back the daily to, you know, sort of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing, or a Tuesday, Thursday thing, or once a week thing, or just continue to do daily, which will probably end up happening because that's just the way I kind of roll. But, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, you know, this is what I like to do, is talk to you guys, especially our creatives, and have that conversation and just talk about current events. I mean, for anybody who's watched the podcast for any amount of time, you know that, of course, we launched a new podcast today. First time that we've launched a podcast in a few weeks as well. Unfortunately, prior to my departure, Lloyd and I were unable to sit down, mainly because of my schedule was being so hectic. So we had a little 3-4 week hiatus. So Lloyd and JD launched today. Obviously, what we talked about was legalization, because here in Canada, marijuana becomes legal on Wednesday, and it will be interesting to see how that sort of all plays out. So if you want to jump in on that conversation, you can check out Lloyd and JD. Of course, you know, Lloyd is definitely all about the marijuana. Me, myself, I don't use at all. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those things, but it's an interesting thing that has happened. Infamous 360, last time I watched it was at 240. Congrats. Thank you. Like I said, it just blows up and it continues to go. It is, looking at the stats today, starting to slow down. I imagine that it will, you know, start petering out, and it'll just have sort of regular ongoing views. But for me as a channel, I mean, it's fantastic in the sense that I struggled immensely for watch time, and all you guys know this 100%, that I struggled to get the watch time, you know, for things, you know, to get me into the monetization zone, and this thing just completely blew it out of the water. I mean, the good thing that I was monetized, because you know, I will make a bit of money off this, which is kind of nice. The weird thing is, you know, there were some audio issues, thanks to Dan Booze Reviews, who caught it early on the first upload, that it was really jacked. I quickly, you know, sort of re-uploaded it. It seemed to fix it partially, but not entirely. But unfortunately, due to my schedule, I was unable to kind of cut it. So it's kind of weird, because I don't feel it was my best video, the mall video. It's just, you know, something that I filmed on the little Canon G7X. I didn't even use one of my bigger cameras. I just went out there to the mall, filmed it, and, you know, to be honest, you know, for people that have sort of asked me, you know, what I did different or anything like that, I just, honest to God, I lucked in on essentially, you know, hitting something at the right time. I just hit it at the right time. It got some legs in the media a few days later, and then it just sort of blew up. And because I'd already made a video on it, it just kind of really, really helped me. So, That's really what happened there. So, hey, Peter, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Good to see you. Thanks a lot for sharing the video a bunch. That is greatly appreciated. And that goes for everybody in here who did that and, sort of shared it about. It's kind of weird coming back too, because I have been recognized a few times already. I went to work. I went to photograph Darude at the rec room. He did Sandstorm, and walking into there, basically somebody comes out and they're like, "Hey, I know you from YouTube." It's like, "Yeah, okay," and off to work I go. So it's been an interesting experience. And he says, "Because of your video, I went to check out the new mall myself. It was bigger than I thought, and also made me fearful that it's not possible to feel that it's doomed. What do I think?" It's an interesting thing. The mall is kind of a super interesting thing. One of the things is, I think what I indicated in the video was kind of lost in the video. So for those of you who don't know, there's 500 units in there. They were all individually sold. So every one of them are sold. They were sold between a range of $150,000 and $500,000. So they all have independent owners, and they can open stores whenever they like. But I think the vast majority of people who bought them were speculating on real estate and basically wanted to lease them out. No different than somebody buying sort of a condo or a house and putting it on the renter's market and, wanting somebody to essentially pay their mortgage. And I think that's what happened there. And, I don't think these guys had any intention, much like somebody who buys a condo unit to rent as an apartment, ever to live in that unit. And of course, the problem is that I don't think in Calgary that commercial mall space is that high in demand. Even if you go around the city, things like Northland Village Mall, is very empty. Sunridge is starting to get that way. I mean, things like Market Mall and Chinook Center are very successful and very full and very busy, mainly because they continue to evolve and change and upgrade all the time. But a lot of these lesser malls like North Hill, they just simply don't have, the stores in them anymore. And I think, where this place is, and again, one of sort of the big critical things in the video, a lot of people were like, "Well, it's not in Calgary," and technically they're right. It's about 200 meters outside the city limits. Is that it's number one, it's outside the city limits. It's not central, but it does service Airdrie and Calgary, Northern Calgary and Airdrie itself. But the problem is it's right by Cross Iron Mills, and essentially you have a massive shopping mall with big brand name, anchor stores in there. So you've got your Sport Checks, your Coach stores, your Kate Spades, all these big designer names that are going to draw people in. In this case, these are very small, sort of Asian market styled kiosks that are maybe 150 square feet sometimes. And you're not going to have designer stuff in there. A lot of times you're just going to have small mom and pop, depending on what they put in there. And that's the other problem that's going to be with this mall, is there's no limitations on what it is. So everything in there could be a bubble tea place or an iPhone case place, and there'll be hundreds of them. And the other thing is, for those of you who have ever been to Pacific Mall in Toronto, which is the identical concept, is basically uplifted and rooted here, that place is a haven for counterfeit goods. So it's a very interesting kind of situation in that mall. Obviously, I will be going back for the grand opening. Checking that out, I have, to be frank, the mall's media people have contacted me. I don't think they're very particularly pleased with me at the moment because of the video. They're upset because, they continue to kind of say, well, we've got 9 stores open there. I think I saw 2 that I put in the video. And beyond that, I honestly didn't see much more. I think maybe 1 or 2 more, and a couple that were potentially opening, I don't know, or were closed for the day. I have no idea. So, it's going to be a hard time for that mall, because I don't think it's going to hit. It's going to take so long. Even if they hit 100 stores, 200 stores, the place is virtually empty. And I think it's really, really a tough sell to get people in there. So I think it's going to be very difficult for that mall to be successful soon. I mean, 5-10 years down the road, maybe, but I honestly believe that things like Amazon and, home shopping are taking over. I mean, even myself, a lot of times I don't go out. I just order from Amazon. I get it shipped in. I won't necessarily go out unless it's things like clothing that I need to try on. I'll typically go buy clothes at, but even that stuff, I mean, most of the stuff that I wear, I get from Sullen is shipped to me. So, I mean, it's, other than a pair of jeans that I may pick up at Costco, and I don't even try those on, I just kind of know my size. That's really it. So, I mean, it's going to be tough times ahead for that mall. I think future going forward. I mean, the fact that it's not even central is a big part. Like things like Eau Claire, which is also kind of, vastly underutilized at this point, that was, highly touted when it was built, which is built in the center of downtown Calgary. It's pretty empty at this point, so something on the fringe of town, I don't know how successful it's going to be, in the long term. And, I'm not trying to be callous or anything like that. I mean, I feel sorry for a lot of the people that bought those units that are probably in there as stores now, that are just kind of mom and pop places, ultimately at the end of the day, that, bought this unit saying, I won't have to pay rent again, and this is kind of my solution. I'll be in a mall with a lot of other businesses and it'll be busy, and that not happening. I feel really, bad for those people. And on the flip side, I don't feel bad for the guys that speculated and bought these units and were just basically looking to people to pay a lease to pay their mortgage so they would make money and have to sit back and essentially do nothing. I don't feel bad for those guys whatsoever. So if you do have any questions, throw them in the comments. I will jump to the comments now. Nick says that's awesome that they reached out to you, where they asking to take it down. Cool. It would be cool if one of those micro stores is an apartment. That comments a lot, actually, the micro store. I mean, to be frank, I've always been intrigued by properties where you could have, sort of an office space or a studio space. For myself, a studio space, which I could live above, and work below. To me, that's fantastic. I mean, I kind of do that now, but I mean, somewhere that would be downtown and central, somewhere I could put a little gallery in or something like that, I'd be all for that. I mean, if they had living units in there, it would be absolutely fantastic. But it'd be more like jail, I think, some kind of weird X-Men mutant jail, as some people put it in the comments of the video, to have that happen. It's kind of a weird place. I kind of do. I really did like it when I was there. It was cool. Don't get me wrong. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go see it before people start opening stores. And I mean, my understanding is there's a dozen stores open now. And I think the paper said that when I came back, there'll be 35 by the end of October, November. So, I mean, they're slowly populating, but the earlier you can get in and the less stuff there, it is really kind of super interesting to see. It's super clean. It's glass. It's very kind of institutional feeling. I think, ultimately it's just because it's designed more as a marketplace. A lot of people commenting on the lack of color in there, how it feels very sterile. But I think, once you put a bunch of colorful clothing and toys and cell phone cases and underwear and whatever you're going to sell in there, the place will definitely liven up. But, at the end of the day, it's super cool right now. I kind of wish I could get in there and film a movie and have access to things for leases. You'll see, exactly, kind of how desperate I think some of these people are. I think, a lot of people put all their eggs in that basket thinking it was a fantastic idea. And, like anything in business and anything like YouTube or all that kind of stuff, and I mean, we've talked about these things in the past, is that long game is crucial, that you can't, sort of put out a video tomorrow and expect it to go viral. I mean, it took me 4 years and basically I just got lucky, and you can't bank on that. You can't say, well, I'm going to be, a YouTube star and bank on, going viral every time. You're not going to ultimately be successful, and even in myself, like, will I be able to ever duplicate this again? Probably not. Not even close. I mean, I will go back there, like I said, and make my grand opening video, but I don't expect it to do anywhere remotely as well as the first one. There are definitely people that are interested will come back and watch that. It might get a little bit of traction, but it will be nowhere near that. And I fully realize it's like any kind of sequel in the movies. People love the first movie, and then the subsequent sequels, you're kind of like, like at the end of the day, you're a little bit disinterested, or it doesn't, invoke the same feeling that you had when you first watch it. But again, I do suggest you kind of go out and check it out, because it is kind of, if you're like me and you like kind of weird, kind of creepy things, it definitely has that feel, because it is so empty and sound bounces around. There were cleaners in there and I didn't know, but I could hear people moving around. And I kind of like, where is this person? Like, I haven't seen this person or these people. I can hear this stuff, but where are they? So it's kind of really interesting, how that is all going. So, cool. Oren says, I wonder if they'll abandon it in some time down in the future. There's an abandoned buildings near cities around the world. I don't think anytime soon. I mean, the thing is with this mall is because it was sold as condo units, that ultimately at the end of the day, the builder has made their money. Contractually, they'll be obligated to the tenants to upkeep it. The tenants obviously will be paying, sort of operating costs to keep it going. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I mean, obviously, if it stays vacant for an extremely long time and it's non-profitable, it may get to a point where it does kind of get abandoned or they walk away from it. But I mean, I can't imagine the legal mess and the lawsuits that would come out of that if that were to ever happen. But it would be an interesting place. I mean, even now, I imagine, security is probably actually fairly busy with people kind of going in there and taking a look around. I would be scared personally if I was in that mall of vandals or, guys going in and doing graffiti and all sorts of stuff. But, it'll remain to be seen. I mean, it took a while for Cross Iron to get fully, jumping and bopping. It is Christmas season. Maybe that will help if some places actually open. But the other part of it is that access to that place and driving into there, if that place ever does take off, it's going to be a nightmare. It's just going to be a nightmare getting into there because of the mall right beside it. And it's going to be a nightmare getting into there because it's just poorly designed, the roads to get in there. And I mean, the parking lot, there's one entrance, and it's just all kind of crazy, so there you go. Hey, Archie, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. I am doing absolutely fantastic. I am well rested, motivated, and had a fantastic trip to Singapore and Malaysia. And, obviously I'm back and just kind of getting back into my regular groove. So, appreciate you dropping by the stream. Nick says, not unless you're Casey Neistat anyways. Yeah. And I mean, obviously if you have a large enough following on YouTube, where you have millions and millions of subscribers and there, millions and millions of people are going to watch your video, regardless of how good or bad it is, or whether or not it would go viral or not. It just kind of goes viral basically out of the sheer numbers of people that you have watching. All the power to you. I mean, that's absolutely, phenomenal. So there you go. The Cinema Time. Hey, thanks for dropping in, Cinema Time. Appreciate it. It's a new name for me, so welcome to the stream. Thanks for dropping in. They opened about 4 stores, a phone case store, school supplies, convenience store. Other than that, it's still pretty empty and very quiet. If someone clapped, everyone could hear it. And that's kind of the creepy part of that mall. Like I said, when I was in there and filming, I could hear the cleaner guys going around, and I was kind of looking for them. I guess it translated in the video that I was nervous, that I was, that I was there illegally or something like that. I was there during operating hours, but it was kind of crazy because I could hear, the machine or the sweeping or the duster. I'd hear a clank, and it's kind of like, what's going on? So, I mean, it's kind of very, very interesting. And like I said, I do plan on going back, and I do plan on filming another video there for the grand opening. So kind of cool. I think this time around, in all honesty, I will try to talk to some of the store owners if they will talk to me. I think a couple of them have stumbled across the video and are, again, not my biggest fans in the world. A little upset with me. I've got some hate mail. I've been called a liar. I've been called all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff in the comments. To me, it just, for those of you guys who know me fairly well, it just kind of amuses me more than anything else. I have no ill intent, but it's kind of crazy that people getting that worked up. But again, I understand if you're a store owner and things are not going well there, that as a small business, it's very, very stressful. I'm a small businessman as well, so I do get it. Sometimes when money is not rolling in, it can get a little uptight, especially if you've invested a lot of money. So it's kind of crazy, but it will be interesting to see, sort of how they're distributed too, because, the fact that Cinema Time has indicated they got 4 stores there, even the 2 that I stumbled across when I filmed the video that I put in, that's kind of it. You just kind of stumble across them. It's, they're not, there's no rhyme or reason. And I think it's really easy because it's more like a grid from what I can tell is it's not going to be easy to find those places if, that's all that's there. Although you could probably just play loud music and people would be able to audio track you there for the first little while. So, again, it's just kind of a cool place. Again, if you're in the Calgary area, I do recommend checking it out before it, kind of half fills up or quarter fills up or a tenth fills up or, still 4 stores to me it's a ghost town. It's a mall. If you've ever been, if you've watched my Sandon video, where I went to the ghost town in Sandon, BC, which is basically an abandoned mining town in the middle of BC. I guess I have done more than one ghost town video, but there are people that still live there, even though it's technically a ghost town. I think there's maybe a dozen people that live there. There's about 3 or 4 houses that are actually occupied, and a lot of people basically keep the ghost town and run the ghost town. And there's a person that runs a cafe there, and there's all sorts of stuff. So I mean, it is still essentially a ghost town. Nick says something creepy about abandoned places like that. Much of Detroit is like that, minus the cleaning crew. Yeah, Detroit definitely has its fair share of abandoned places. I was just through Malaysia. I probably would have filmed if I wasn't working on my film, stopped and spent some more time filming some abandoned places. I didn't have the opportunity. One of the places near one of the suites that I rented in a place called Malacca actually had a place that was virtually brand new and very similar, except it's an outdoor kind of, mall. And I wanted to go there and film. Unfortunately, by the time I had time to do it, it was dark. And I knew at that time that if I went and filmed it and said this is a ghost place, everybody would just accuse me of, essentially going to a place late at night and it was all locked up and I was faking it. But it was interesting to see because when we were driving, we had a driver and we asked, like, why is this place? Like, there's a lot of places that are open, and this place, a big thing, is just completely not used. And he indicated that dirty money had been used to do it, and politically I think it was whoever was in charge had just been removed, had been greasing the palms or getting his palms greased to have this thing built, and everybody now realizes it and now it's empty. So I mean, it's kind of like these interesting things happen all over the world. Somebody was great enough, they thought I was still in Malaysia, sent me some sites like an abandoned stadium in Kuala Lumpur that I could have visited, which would have been super cool as well. But again, even if I had that information at the time, I don't think my timeline would have allowed me to go there to film and sort of make a video of these abandoned places. But it's definitely something in the future. if you are a subscriber, new subscriber to this channel, hopefully you're not expecting just abandoned videos all the time. You are more likely to see daily JD videos like this. You are more likely to see my weekly vlog. You are definitely going to see Lloyd and JD, the podcast, come out once a week. And that's kind of what my YouTube channel is. I just kind of do what I want to do. Aside from doing my work, which is working as a professional photographer, mostly in music. So, like I said, it's been a very, very interesting kind of ride for myself. My subscribers have basically doubled since my last conversation with you guys in one of these videos, which again is absolutely amazing. Hopefully anybody who has subscribed has watched a good chunk of the content on this channel to see kind of what to expect, so it all kind of makes sense to you. And, hopefully I will see you in the daily streams as well. So you guys have to let me know how you've been. I've been gone for, almost I think a month since I've kind of done one of these, streams, other than, kind of the random ones that I did in Singapore and Malaysia in the middle of probably the night or the day or some weird time here, whenever I had the opportunity. But you'll have to let me know what's up. I am completely unaware of what's going on community-wise with Calgary video creators or anything like that. Hopefully I will get up to speed. Hopefully there is a meetup soon, because I would love to, of course, sit down and, talk with people and see what they're doing and see what projects you're working on and what collaborations that we can do. Of course, I need to sit down with you, Nick, and talk about your podcast. We need to, sort of figure out when we're going to start doing that and how that's going to look and all that kind of cool stuff. But other than that, I am absolutely, thrilled, to have you guys back. And as is usual, thanks again to all our Patreon supporters. Of course, we've got Mr. Matt Mort. We've got Reviewing McReviewface. We've got Post-Traumatic Victory. Their links are down below. And, of course, our YouTube subscribers. We've got Mum's Universe. If you're still here, Woodrow, thank you for the support on YouTube, as well as Josh WRB. All their links are down below. You can check out their respective channels. They are all great guys. And pretty much everybody in here, typically that drops in these streams, has some fantastic channels. Nick has a great channel where he does a lot of music stuff and food review stuff. And of course, Oren, he has a great Twitch channel, and, so on. Pete has a great cooking channel, and, of course, Mum's Universe, all you guys do fantastic stuff. So that's kind of it. I don't have any kind of current news or anything like that. I didn't really kind of research anything for today. If there is anything that you want to talk about, because I'm sure there is a ton of stuff that has happened over the past 3 weeks that I haven't covered, along the way that I probably would have talked about, but just never sort of got around to it, because of, just the fact that I wasn't broadcasting daily at that point. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. It's kind of one of those weird things that I think once it sort of gets through this blip, that it'll be back to normal for me, and we will be doing things as per usual. There just maybe, hopefully, be a couple more people around and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we will definitely talk soon, Nick. That will be fantastic. So if you have any questions, by all means, throw them in the comments. Let me know what you want to talk about. Other than that, I mean, subsequent vlogs will be coming out. If you haven't seen it, I've got the first vlog, day one in Singapore, which was a hectic day that runs from basically me leaving the YYC Music Awards, which I filmed a little bit, but I just couldn't make a vlog out of it. I was super busy that night, so I just kind of lopped it on the front, and then everything up to the first performance in Singapore. So we went that far, and yeah, kind of a really hectic day, and I have a bunch more stuff. So I mean, in subsequent weeks, I will probably be releasing, sort of those weekly kind of vlog videos that cover usually probably a day or two. I have a ton of content. Basically my issue is now is that I'm going through it all because a lot of it is associated with the film. So, while the Shaolin stuff, you saw some little bits of clips, that's stuff that I probably won't use in the film, but it gives you kind of an indication of some of the stuff that I was doing that will be part of the film, the tradition. So there you go. Cinema Time says, I'm guessing you missed all the snow then. I did. It is, I imagine it was pretty cold at that time. I'm still trying to get used to it. I have been in 30 to 35 degree weather with like wicked humidity where you walk out and it's just heat and sweat. And to be honest, it's fantastic. My hip felt fantastic for 3 weeks. I wasn't feeling any pain, anything like that. I went for a walk today and essentially I am in agonizing pain. And I think it's just because of the cold. It is such a terrible, kind of switch. But yeah, I missed all the snow. I'm sure that Canada and Calgary will give me my fair share anyways now that I'm back. I mean, winter hasn't even started in a sense, and Calgary was already getting dumped on. So it's going to be an interesting winter. Winter is not my favorite time of the year. I kind of like being outdoors, and I love the heat, and we'll see what happens. Maybe I will take off for a little bit and go find myself an adventure somewhere else, which of course, people are always welcome to join me on those kind of things. And definitely, Oren, if I decide to take off Japan, I will definitely let you know, because I've got the itch. I always get that itch when I travel to travel more. So there you go. But essentially, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks again. If you are still here, please smash that like button. Thanks again for contributing to the chat and talking to me in the comments. I appreciate you guys spending time with me, and I will see you potentially tomorrow. We will see. We'll see how it goes. It might be a bit of a hectic week, so make sure to watch my Twitter at Paint Inc., as well as the notifications on YouTube. Have those clicked on. Hit that bell button so you get notifications when we are live. I will do my best as well to essentially pre-schedule the stream. So I basically pre-scheduled this stream about 3 days ago, and when you go into your browser, you will see it there that I'm going to stream at a certain time. So check it out, and we will see you guys soon. And if you guys have anything, of course, that you want to discuss, talk about, any topics that we want to go, by all means, tweet at me. Let me know what you guys want to discuss, and we will go from there. And like I said, these will get back to more normal-ish kind of daily JDs with, sort of news and YouTube stuff as I sort of get back into the, sort of the routine that is normal for me. So again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it as always. Smash that like button. Love you guys. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. And until next time, see ya.